بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, my dear respected brothers and sisters, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity for us to continue in our lessons in the Aqaid of Al-Imam Nasafiyyah, and likewise we take the benefits of the commentary by Al-Imam Taftazani. And we have reached an important chapter, that is the chapter pertaining to the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The attributes that we are speaking about is what is known as Sifat al-Ma'ani. Sifat al-Ma'ani. I think it is important for us to understand the difference between Sifat Ma'ani and Sifat. Just to check my sound. Sifat al-Ma'ani, and we are speaking about attributes that subsist in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Bذات of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we meant by Sifat al-Ma'ani. So let us get the book for a moment. So the difference between Sifat al-Ma'ani and Sifat Salbiyyah is that Sifat Salbiyyah are the negating attributes that we negate the impossibilities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think in the last two lessons we mentioned about Sifat Salbiyyah. We mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like that. Allah is not Jawhar, Allah is not Arad. So we are negating, these are Salbiyyah. But when it comes to Sifat al-Ma'ani, we are speaking about attributes that subsist in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So last week we spoke about the meaning of al-Ilm, the meaning of Qudra, and then we have come into speaking about the Irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today inshallah we will continue from there. Let us look at our book. Let me see. So just to have some recap, the meaning of these attributes are important. So I mentioned many times, it is important for students of knowledge to memorize definitions. And what do we mean by memorizing definition? What do we mean by that? So for example, we have all the attributes. So when we were asked, for example, what is the meaning of al-Qudra? So we say sifatun azaliyatun yata'atta biha ijadu mumkinin wa i'damuhu. Ijadu mumkinin wa i'damuhu. This is the meaning of sifat al-Qudra. But here, of course, Al-Imam Taftazani, he mentioned the meaning not in terms of its definition, but in terms of the contents of the definition. So when we speak about the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we speak about ijad wal i'dam. So power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we mentioned that it is an attribute that brings the mumkin to existence, or bring the mumkin from existence to non-existence. The meaning of ijad and i'dam. Ala wafqil irada, and this is based on the relation to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will to bring something into existence, and Allah brought that thing into existence. So the existence of the thing is related to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say this is the effect of the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tamam? So when we speak about Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are speaking about bringing into existence, or bringing something from existence to non-existence. So this is the nature, or this is the meaning of the power of Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is related to the mumkin. So we mentioned that the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has only a relation with the mumkinat, yani the possible beings. The Qudra of Allah has no relation with the wajibat and the mustahilat. What is wajib and it has no relation with the power of Allah. What is impossible and it has no relation with the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is impossible and meaning impossible and to be in existence. So if something itself is impossible and it cannot be in existence, it has no relation with no relation to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it comes to the wajib, as also we say that the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no relation to the wajib, because the wajib is something that is in existence. So that is why we say it has no relation to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the power of Allah is bringing into existence. So you do not bring in something that is already been in existence to existence. Just like for example, we say we have a door, for example, and we have a door. So we ask someone to bring us the door like this door. So we say that this door is already there. It's already there. So there is no need for us to bring something like it. So when we speak about wajib, and we say something that is wajib is ma la yutasawwaru adamuhu. Something that is wajib is something that we cannot conceive its non-existence. Meaning it is in existence. So something is in existence is not required to be brought into existence again. Ala kulli hal, these are some of the things we have mentioned also last time. So those who have been following, I don't think you have a problem to understand what I'm saying. So because some people, for example, they ask why does the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no relation with the wajib and the mustahil. So this is the answer. The qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has only relation with the mumkin. Tamam? It is the same as the irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Irada of Allah also has only relation with the mumkin. Now, when it comes to the knowledge of Allah, that is not the case. Knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything. Knowledge of Allah encompasses the wajib, the wajibat, the mustahilat, and the jaizat, and the mumkinat. So knowledge of Allah encompasses what is necessary, what is impossible, what is possible. Even the impossible Allah knows. Tamam? So when we say knowledge of Allah encompasses everything, meaning it encompasses every form of information, every knowledge. Allah knows everything, whether that thing is itself impossible or not impossible, or it is necessary, or it is within the possible things. So this is the nature of the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a good revision for us to understand the difference between the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is related to information. The power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is related to the mumkin, the possible beings, possible things. And it is about ijad wa i'dam, bringing into existence or bringing from existence into non-existence. Whereas the irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is going to be the topic of today. This is going into where inshallah ta'ala I will begin inshallah today. We mentioned this, you see in the screen. All this, and we have mentioned as-sama' wal-basar, I believe. Tamam. Today's lesson والإرادة والمشيئة. I believe we have not completed this. So now about any irada. So we mentioned knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is kashifa. Allah, His knowledge encompassing everything. Power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is related to the mumkin, ijad wal i'dam, is what we mentioned. When it comes to the irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is takhsisul mumkin. The definition of irada is very important. Again, and it's important for us to memorize those definitions, like how we memorize in Surah Al-Fatiha, inshallah. So the definition is sifatun azaliyatun tukhassisu bihal mumkina. Tukhassisul mumkina bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayhi min ijadin wa i'damin aw jihatin aw makanin aw miqdar. So let me explain this definition again. When we speak about the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are speaking about takhsis. Takhsis, sifatun azaliyatun tukhassisul mumkina. Tukhassisul mumkina. It is an attribute, a pre-eternal attribute that determines or specifies the mumkin. It specifies the mumkin. What is the meaning of specifies the mumkin? In Arabic, we call it takhsisul mumkin. What is the meaning of takhsis? We have, mashallah, covered many a times. But it is important for us to what you call it, again, mention it again, so that inshallah hopefully we can understand it better and memorize it. So when we speak about takhsis, specifying the mumkin, So the example then it will be our existence. And for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we will be in existence, that He will bring us into existence at one particular times, at one particular. Imagine we have not been in existence yet. So our existence is related to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning Allah knows our existence. So this is the meaning when we say it's related, relation, ta'alluq. It is related to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this relation is ta'alluq, tanjizi, qadim. So it is a pre-eternal relation. A pre-eternal relation that is accomplished, meaning Allah knew our existence pre-eternally. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew our existence pre-eternally. So we are not yet been in existence. And Allah specifies our existence. First we say, of course, we are not saying this in sequence, but here what you call it is sequence, and is based on ta'aqul, and is based on a form of understanding, how we want to understand in the subject. Allah knew our existence and He wills it, meaning He specifies it. He knew our existence and He specified that we are to be in existence at a particular time and place. That we are to be in existence at a particular time and place. So this is the meaning of takhsis. He specifies the mumkin. And remember, the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only has relation with the mumkin. With the possible things, the possibilities. So we are part of the possibilities. We are part of the mumkin. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifies our existence. And when the time comes He brought us into existence. Now here we speak about the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because ijad and i'dam is what we mentioned. Ijad, Allah brought us into existence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us into existence, and this bringing into existence has relation to His will. He wills our existence and He brought us into existence. So this is the meaning of takhsis al-mumkin. He specifies our existence, for example. He specifies our direction, whether we are in the east or in the west. He specifies our place. He specifies our size. This meaning of takhsis al-mumkin. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. Earlier I saw this, there might be some internet disruption or something. I hope everything is okay, inshallah. So this is part of the definition. Sifatun azaliyatun tukhassisul mumkina bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayh. When our scholars mention bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayhi, meaning there can be no contradiction. Allah specifies our existence, it has no contradiction with our non-existence, meaning specification must not enter into a contradiction, because contradiction itself is mustahil. So that is why the definition mentioned bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayh. So the irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't specify a mumkin to be in existence and non-existence at the same time. This is impossible. So that is why the irada of Allah has no relation with the mustahilat, no relation with the things that is impossible. So the definition goes to say bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayhi. This is going to be mentioned by Imam Taftazani in the commentary, inshallah. Later we will see. Bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayhi min ijadin wa i'damin. When the time that a particular mumkin is going to be in existence, when the time particular mumkin will be in non-existence, what is the direction, what is the volume, what is the size, and so on and so forth. So this is the meaning of takhsisul mumkin. So the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is takhsis. Now when we go back into Al-Imam Nasafiyyah, and he says والإرادة والمشيئة. Al-irada wal-mashi'ah, I think I mentioned in the last lesson that they are the same. There is no difference between irada and mashi'ah. Scholars of Tawheed, scholars of Aqidah, they do not differentiate between irada and mashi'ah. It is the same. Just the difference in the words. But the meaning is the same. So let us look at what Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned. He said, وهما عبارتان عن صفة في الحي توجب تخصيص أحد المقدورين في أحد الأوقات بالوقوع مع استواء نسبة القدرة إلى الكل So basically what I mentioned earlier pertaining to what is the meaning of takhsisul mumkin, what is the meaning of bi ba'di ma yajuzu alayh, that there can be no contradiction because contradictories are impossible. So this is explained by Al-Imam Taftazani, but of course in another way. So he said, first thing, he said tujibu takhsis ahadil maqdurain. So he speaks about takhsis. Irada speaks about specification. في تخصيص توجب تخصيص أحد المقدورين في أحد الأوقات بالوقوع So here he speaks about no contradictories. So when we speak about the specification of a mumkin, it cannot be in existence for example at one particular time and non-existence at the same time. So ahad al-maqdurain fi ahad al-awqat. So we have this existence and non-existence. Existence and non-existence. So this is a simple example I give. So when we speak about specifying the mumkin, this specification cannot specify the existence of a mumkin and non-existence at the same time. That is why he say ahad al-maqdurain fi ahad al-awqat. Yani it must be specified in a particular specification where there is no contradictories. Another thing we have to understand that when we speak about mumkin, the something that is possible is like a balance, whether it is in existence or non-existence. What is the thing that determine the existence of a mumkin or non-existence? It is the irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is where he said بالوقوع مع استواء نسبة القدرة إلى الكل وكون تعلق العلم تابعا للوقوع. So as what I mentioned, when it comes to knowledge, Allah knew that a particular thing is going to be in existence, then he specifies its existence. So this specification has a relation with al-ilm, has a relation with knowledge. So this is what he said, وَكَوْنُ تَعَلُّقُ الْعِلْمِ تَابِعًا لِلْوُقُوع. So the existence of that particular mumkin is specified, and this specification has relation with the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وفيما ذكر تنبيه على الرد على من زعم أن المشيئة قديمة. So he mentioned that this is to rebut some sects within the Islamic sects that they believe that that the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pre-eternal. والإرادة حادثة. They say that what is pre-eternal is مشيئة, but والإرادة حادثة قائمة بذات الله تعالى. So this is some people they make this differentiation. So Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned it is not correct, because it is impossible for the irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be contingent. This is what he said, wal iradatu hadisatun qa'imatun bi dhatillah. And this is mustahil. This is impossible. Right. So what is important is that we understand what is the meaning of al-irada. So now inshallah we will go on to the next part. He said, وَالْفِعْلُ وَالتَّخْلِيقُ. وَالْفِعْلُ وَالتَّخْلِيقُ. It is important for us to know where Al-Imam Nasafiyyah is coming from. Yani, he is speaking about the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he mentioned all the attributes of Allah pre-eternal, azaliyah. So let us see how many sifat he mentioned. So let us go back. We look at what he mentioned from the beginning. Yani this is the beginning of the chapter. He said وَهِيَ أي صفة أزلية العلم. So he mentioned knowledge, والقدرة, power, الحياة, life, والقوة, and this also same meaning as قدرة, Sama', that is all hearing. Al-basar, all seeing. And then al-irada wal-mashi'ah, which is the same as what we mentioned. And now he said wal-fi'lu wat-takhliq. And this is also from the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for those who are following, this is going to be, I think this is going to be the first time that we speak about one of the differences of the Asha'ira and Maturidiyah. So those who are following this lesson, please take note the difference between the two madhab. One of the things that we differ with the Maturidiyah is pertaining to this part. So those who are following, so maybe you can put in your notes wal fi'lu wat takhliqu, maybe you put an arrow, you put down there takwin. But anyway, Imam Taftazani also going to mention this. He said ibaratun an sifatin azaliyatin tusamma takwin. Can you see it? So this is what he said. He said ibaratun an sifatin azaliyatin tusamma takwin. The scholars or the madhab of Maturidiyah, they mentioned that the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is qudra, power, and there is takwin. There is power, qudra, and there is takwin. And both qudra and takwin are azaliyah, as what he will mention. So what is this takwin? What is takwin? Here Al-Imam Nasafi did not mention any much, but after a few pages you will see that he will elaborate on the meaning of takwin. So Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned ibaratun an sifatin azaliyatin tusamma takwin. طيب والفعل والتخليق. فعل in the Arabic language is action. Takhliq is creation, to create, the act of creating. Takhliq from the word khallaqa yukhalliqu takhliqan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he brought everything into existence. He brought the universe into existence. He is the one who gave sustenance. He brought everything everything into existence. So this action and this creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bringing something from non-existence into existence. So these actions, this is what is meant by takwin in the madhab of Maturidiyah. So this is what they mention as takwin. But of course we have some differences with them, because we say this is within qudra. This is qudra, the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in the madhab of Asha'ira, we say everything falls under qudra, easy. But the Maturidiyah, they differentiate between the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the takwin of Allah. So the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his power is what we mentioned. But when it comes to takwin, they speak about the creation, the action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. Then he mentioned وَسَيَجِئُ تَحْقِيقُهُ. So the explanation of the meaning of takwin, and Imam Taftazani mentioned, will come later. وَعَادَلَ عَنْ لَفْظِ الْخَلْقِ لِيَشُوعَ اسْتِعْمَالُهُ فِي الْمَخْلُوقِ. And Imam Taftazani mentioned the reason why Al-Imam Nasafi did not use the word al-khalq. Instead, he used the word takhliq, because the meaning of al-khalq can refer to makhluk. And for example, we say هَذَا خَلْقُ اللَّهِ. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned هَذَا خَلْقُ اللَّهِ. The meaning of هَذَا خَلْقُ اللَّهِ, meaning هَذَا مَخْلُوقَاتُ اللَّهِ. These are the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the word khalq, it can refer to makhluk. It can also refer to the action of creating. So that is why Al-Imam Nasafi did not use the word khalq, because it can be meant as makhluk. So instead he used the word takhliq. So takhliq has no difference with the word khalq, meaning to bring into existence the creations. So this is an explanation by Al-Imam Taftazani. And then he mentioned what tarziq. So please take note, the al-fi'lu, what takhliq, what tarziq, all this is within the meaning of takwin. So actually there is one attribute, but these are examples. Al-fi'l, takhliq, tarziq. but it is just the nature of these actions differ. For example, takhliq is about creation, tarziq is about creating sustenance. Tarziq is about creating sustenance. This is mentioned by Al-Imam Taftazani. After that, he said, when it comes to tarziq, sustenance, he said, وَهُوَ تَكْوِينٌ مَخْصُوصٌ صَرَّحَ بِهِ إِشَارَةً إِلَى أَنَّ مِثْلَ التَّخْلِيقِ وَالتَّرْزِيقِ وَالتَّصْوِيرِ وَالْإِحْيَاءِ وَالْإِمَاتَةِ وَغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ مِمَّا أُسْنِدَ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى كُلٌّ مِنْهَا رَاجِعٌ إِلَى صِفَةٍ حَقِيقِيَّةٍ أَزَلِيَّةٍ قَائِمَةٍ بِذَاتِ هِيَ التَّكْوِينُ. So meaning under takwin, and he said there is tarziq, giving sustenance, taswir, giving forms, ihya, giving life, imata, giving death, wa ghayri dhalika. So every action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala falls under the attribute of takwin. This is the madhab of Maturidiyya, Jama'ah. Please take note. This is the madhab of Maturidiyya. Ours Ash'ari is simpler, which we'll mention after this. But as far as the Maturidiyya is concerned, they say all this is within the meaning of takwin. And then he said, كُلٌّ مِنْهَا رَاجِعٌ إِلَى صِفَةٍ حَقِيقِيَّةٍ أَزَلِيَّةٍ قَائِمَةٌ بِذَات. And the attribute of takwin is an attribute that subsists in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just as the attribute of Qudra. La kama za'am al-Ash'ari. This is where I need a difference between Ash'ari, the Ash'aris, and the Maturidis. So Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned not like how the Ash'ari mentioned. Because the Ash'ari, what do they say? They say all these things are linkages of Qudra. Can you see? These are the ta'alluqat of Qudra. So remember, when we study about the chapter of ta'alluq, we mentioned that the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has how many ta'alluq? 2 ta'alluq. One is ta'alluq suluhiyun qadim. The other one is ta'alluq tanjiziyun hadith. So ta'alluq suluhiyun qadim is azali, meaning qadim. But ta'alluq tanjiziyun hadith is hadith. So we mentioned that in our madhab of Ash'ari, when we speak about the action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we say the action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is jaiz and not wajib. Why? Because it is related to the mumkinat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He brought us into existence. We are mumkin. So the relation of our creation to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also mumkin. It's also mumkin. So we say this is tanjiziyun hadith. Tanjiziyun hadith. So Al-Imam Al-Ash'ari and the Ash'ari, we say that these are the linkages of the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Maturidiyya mentioned differently. They mentioned that the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the bringing things into existence, the creation of things, the creation of sustenance, the creation of life, the creation of death, all this comes from the attribute of takwin, and this is pre-eternal, that subsists in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La kama za'ama al-Ash'ari min annaha idafatun wa sifatun lil af'al. This is what we mentioned when it comes to the Ash'ari. We say these are the linkages of the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a linkage, ta'alluq from the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Naam. Then he mentioned wal kalam. Now when we speak about the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al kalam. And this is an attribute, sifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned wahiya sifatun azaliyatun. So the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sifatun azaliyah. So it is a pre-eternal attribute. It is a pre-eternal attribute. Ubbira biha bin nadharil musamma bil Qur'anil murakkabi minal huruf. Okay, so here we have to take some time to explain this. So look at what he's saying. He said that the calamity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a pre-eternal attribute, meaning that subsists in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the letters of the Quran expresses that meaning of the calamity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let me repeat it again. The letters of the Quran that we see, and when we open the Quran, we see letters, correct or not? So the letters ta'bir, the letters, it explains the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are the letters kalam of Allah? No. Letters are contingencies, they are a creation. Letters are a creation. voices and sound is a creation. That is why in the definition of kalam, and we say sifatun azaliyatun nafsiyatun, not lafdiyah, nafsiyatun laysat biharfin wala sawt tadullu ala jami'il ma'lumat. Yani the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is a pre-eternal any attribute that is nafsiyah, yani laysat biharfin wala sawt, it is not letters any and sounds, and it explains all forms any of information and knowledge. So this is the meaning of kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it explain. So the difference any between kalam and ilm yani it encompass every knowledge and information, whereas kalam, it explain that knowledge. So can you see the difference? So let me just give you a simple any example. And for example, you know something, and you know that Zaid is coming to your house. So Zaid is coming to my house, for example. We have this knowledge that this person by the name of Zaid is coming to my house. But I keep quiet. I know within myself that this person is coming. Then what happens? I write it on the whiteboard. I write Zaid is coming to my house. So now the letters, the words that I have just written, it is an expression of the knowledge that I have. I express it in the form of letters. Correct or not? So this knowledge is in me. This is the meaning of kalam nafsi. Yani I'm saying to myself, Zaid is coming to my house, and then I express by writing. So this is a one way of expression, by writing. Another way of expression by saying, yani I say to my friend, for example, I say Zaid is coming to my house. Now this is a different form of expression. Number one, the expression in terms of writing. Number two, the expressions in terms of speaking. Number three, maybe I use hand signal. I do not write, I do not say it out, but I use hand signal. So I mention to that person beside me, Zaid is coming into my house, and using any hand signal. So this is also the expression of kalam nafsi. So kalam nafsi is the speech that I have in myself. So that is why the Arabs when they speak about kalam of two types. We have kalam nafsi and kalam lafzi. Kalam lafzi is the words that you speak. This is lafzi. Like now I'm speaking now, this is lafzi. But the words that is in my heart is nafsi. So when I express those words that is that is in my heart, so I say that this is an expression of my kalam nafsi. This is an expression of kalam nafsi. So when we speak about the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the definition it says laysat biharfin wala sawt. The kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not any letters and sound. So we must understand that the letters of the Quran that we see when you open the Quran, the letters and the sound, and when you hear people reciting the Quran, it is an expression of kalam nafsi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not the kalam nafsi, it is kalam lafzi, but it expresses the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is nafsi. So what is the meaning? It means that the meanings behind those letters and sound. The meanings behind those letters and sound, that is what we meant by the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is where Al-Imam At-Tazani is saying, hiya sifatun azaliyatun ubbira anha bin nadhar al-musamma bil Qur'an al-murakkabi min al-huruf. The Quran is made, the Quran consists of these letters. When we open the Quran, these letters that are murakkab, yani that are in sequence, that we understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, what He commands, what He prohibits. So the letters is an expression of the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَذَلِكَ لِأَنَّ كُلَّ مَنْ يَأْمُرُ وَيَنْهَى وَيُخْبِرُ يَجْدُ مِنْ نَفْسِهِ مَعْنَى. This is exactly what I mentioned earlier, that when you want to command something, when you want to prohibit something, when you want to tell something, so initially you have that in yourself. Yani you have that thoughts within yourself. ثُمَّ يَدُلُّ عَلَيْهِ بِالْعِبَارَةِ أَوْ الْكِتَابَةِ أَوْ الْإِشَارَةِ. And then after that we express what we have in kalam nafsi that we have. We express it to writing, to giving ishara. Ishara is what I mentioned by giving signals. وَهُوَ غَيْرُ الْعِلْم. And this is different than knowledge, because knowledge kalam yani is to explain knowledge. Kalam yani is to explain knowledge. Knowledge is the information. Knowledge yani is the thing that we know. But how do you express any that knowledge, any that you know? Just by keeping quiet, any nobody knows any what you are. You know, correct? No? Nobody knows any what exactly any you know what exactly you are trying to say. So we express any our knowledge any by engaging any in speech. So if a person any asks what is the difference any between knowledge and in speech, any of course any we say speech any is an expression any of that knowledge. إذ قد يخبر الإنسان عما لا يعلمه. Then after that, and he gives any examples. Any the difference between knowledge and speech is that sometimes any a person might be speaking about things any that he does not know. So he does not have knowledge, but he speaks. So here comes any the difference any between knowledge any and speech. بل يعلم خلافه. Even any he does not any he knows something that is the opposite. So he thought that he know, but actually it's ignorance. But he expressed basically what any he thinks and he knows. So this is a possibility. So this any is to show the difference any between knowledge and speech. And speech any is also different. There is a different any with a will. This is what he said. وَغَيْرُ الْإِرَادَةِ لِأَنَّهُ قَدْ يَأْمُرُ بِمَا لَا يُرِيدُهُ. So sometimes any a person he command any others any to do something but he does not want. This we study in Aqaid Nasafiyyah, to command but does not want. He commands any but he does not want. What is the example? Imam Taftazani and he gave any this example. كَمَنْ أَمَرَ عَبْدَهُ قَصْدًا لِإِظْهَارِ عِصْيَانِهِ وعدم امتثاله لأوامره ويسمى هذا كلاما نفسيا على ما أشار إليه الأخطل. The example any will be like a person any who commanded any his slave to do a particular thing, but he does not want that slave to do that particular thing. He just command him to do, to show people any that the slave will not do. So for example, any if a person any has a slave any that is stubborn, he tell any the slave any to do something, the slave any doesn't want to do. So people come to him and ask him, how good any is your slave? My slave is very stubborn. Let me show you. So he purposely commanded his slave any to do a particular thing, and he knows any that the servant will not any do that particular thing. So he command, but he does not want. He told any the slave any to do a particular thing, but he does not want. Why? And because he wants to show people any that the slave any is a stubborn slave. So here the author and is saying that this is an example that a speech is different any from will. Sometimes any you speak something but you do not will it to happen. That is a possibility. وَيُسَمَّ هَذَا كَلَامًا نَفْسِيًّا. So at the end of the day, and he's saying that this is kalam nafsi, not kalam lafzi. So kalam ini nafsi yani is yani the speech yani of what is inside you. Alama ishara ilayhi al-akhtal. So there is any a particular any scholar by the name any of al-akhtal. It is what you call it, a poem, a very famous any poem. Many our scholars in Aqidah always mention this poem. Yani he said, Innal kalama la fil fuadi wa innama ju'ila al-lisanu ala al-fuadi dalila. So let us see any what akhtal and he said that al-kalam la fil fuad. Yani the speech and lies any within the heart. The tongue has only been made as a guide to the heart, meaning when you express any something, you are expressing something that is in your heart. So your tongue is just an expression, your speech is just an expression, but it expresses your kalam nafsi. It expresses any the speech any that you have any within you. وقال عمر رضي الله عنه إني زورت في نفسي مقالة وكثيرا ما تقول لصاحبك إن في نفسي كلاما أريد أن أذكره لك. It is about any the same meaning. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab any mentioned any that I have any some things any in my heart that I want to say. What you call it? This thoughts any that I have is something that I will inform you. So this is any again I need to show to show that this is can be called any as kalam. And Sayyidina al-Khattab any use the word any kalam. Then he mentioned what dalilu ala subuti sifatil kalam ijma'ul ummah. So there are no differences amongst the Muslims yani about the attribute of kalam. All Muslims say that kalam is the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إجماع الأمة وتواتر النقل عن الأنبياء عليهم الصلاة والسلام, and it is based on mutawatir, that to say that Allah hath the attribute of kalam, because the Mu'tazila mentioned and there is no such thing as kalam as a sifa that is subsisting in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the point of difference between us and the Mu'tazila. I think I mentioned this also last time. أنه تعالى متكلم, that Allah is mutakallim. مع القطع باستحالة تكلم من غير ثبوت صفة الكلام, because if we say that Allah is mutakallim, and meaning He has the attribute of kalam that subsists in His entity. فثبت أن الله تعالى صفات ثمانية. So here Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned that there are 8 attributes. So in the Maturidiyya and Madhab in the Maturidiyya Asha'ira, yani we mentioned 7. So let us look at Maturidiyya. How many they have? Number 1, Al-Ilm. Number 2, Qudra. Number 3, Haya. Number 4, As-Sama'. Number 5, Al-Basar. Number 6, Al-Irada. And then number 7 is Takween. Number 8 is Kalam. So where is the difference between us and them? In the attribute of Takween. That's what we mentioned. But of course, this is not something that is big difference, because actually the explanations of Takween is within the explanation of the Qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is why there is no difference between the Asha'ira and Maturidiyya in reality. So the reality is about the usage of words and certain expressions. So that is why our difference with them is difference in the language. Difference in the language. But the essence of the meanings of the attributes, all of them are the same. So do not be confused that the Maturidiyya mentioned 8, the Asha'ira mentioned 7. They are the same. How do we know they are the same? Then we have to study. We have to know when the Maturidiyya, for example, speaks about Takween, what do they mean by Takween? The Asha'ira, when they speak about Takween, what they meant by Takween. So at the end of the day, we say they are the same. In terms of understanding, they are the same, but they differ in terms of categorization. So all of this, inshallah, will come. I think next week, inshallah, we will enter into Takween and we speak about Takween, or maybe the week after. We have a few more minutes left. The author mentioned Sifatu Kalamillah. Again, he's going to speak about Calamity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, وَلَمَّا كَانَ فِي الثَّلَاثَةِ الْأَخِيرَةِ زِيَادَةُ نِزَاعٍ وَخَفَاءٍ كرر الإشارة إلى إثباتها وقدمها وفصل الكلام بعض التفصيل. Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned, because the last 3 attributes, there are many differences. What are the last 3 attributes? We have the irada, the takween, and the kalam. So he mentioned that especially for kalam, the author mention it again, due to the importance and due to the many differences amongst the Muslims pertaining to this. So he said, Huwa ay Allahu Ta'ala mutakallimun bi kalamin huwa sifatun lahu. So he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mutakallim bi kalamin huwa sifatun lahu. And this is the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an attribute as what we mentioned. So he said, ضرورة امتناع إثبات المشتق لشيء من غير قيام مأخذ الاشتقاق به. So again, he mentioned that when we say that Allah is mutakallim, the word mutakallim, it is mushtaq. This is what he said, mushtaq, meaning it comprises and it originates from the word kalam. So the word mutakallim comes from the word kalam. So when you say something is mutakallim, meaning he possesses kalam, and meaning he possesses kalam as an attribute that subsists in him. And here is the rebuttal against the Mu'tazila. This is what he said after that. وَفِي هَذَا رَدٌّ عَلَى الْمُعْتَزِلَةِ حَيْثُ ذَهَبُوا إِلَىٰ أَنَّهُمْ مُتَكَلِّمٌ بِكَلَامٍ هُوَ قَائِمٌ بِغَيْرِهِ. The Mu'tazila, they negate. They say that Allah does not have an attribute that is kalam, that subsists in him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he created any kalam in something else. Kalam is created in something else. This is what the Mu'tazila is saying. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he created speech in something else, and not any, it does not subsist any in its entity. So this is any the point of difference any between us and the Mu'tazilah. So Al-Imam Mutatazani any mentioned whenever we say mutakallim any meaning, it has any the attribute of kalam as an attribute that subsists in the entity, not subsists in another entity. Azaliyah, yani kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what we mentioned, they are pre-eternal. Darurata imtina'i qiyamil hawadisi bidhatihi ta'ala. By saying it is pre-eternal, meaning we are saying any that it is impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have contingent attributes. So it is to rebut any those any who believe that Allah has a contingent any attribute. Laisa min jinsil hurufi wal aswat. This is any within the definition as what we mentioned. Sifatun azaliyatun laisat biharfin wala saut. That the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not any comprises any of letters and sounds. Then he mentioned darurata annaha a'radun hadisatun mashrutun hudusa ba'diha bin qida'il ba'd. So the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yani is not letters any and sound. This is any to rebut those any who mention that the kalam any of Allah are accidents that are contingent, that are in sequence, just like any the speech any of the creations of human beings. So the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is pre-eternal and it is not comprises any of letters and sounds. So it is different any than our speech. Tamam? Because our speech any is comprised any of letters any and sound. لأن امتناع التكلم بالحرف الثاني بدون انقضاء الحرف الأول بديهي. When we speak, our speech any has sequence. The letters any that we say, the first we have the sequence, and the first letter comes followed by the second letter, followed by the third letter, and then the letter form into words and it form into sentences. So when you look at sentences, and it comes any from letters, and letters and it comes any from sounds, and when you speak about speaking, comes any from the sounds. So from the sounds any we have letters. For example, if I say this is alif, we say alif alif any with a fatha. So what you call it, I'm saying any the sounds any, I'm saying any so when I say abun, so there is a sequence. Alif any comes first, and then there is a ba. So al abu, for example, we say al abu, al abu fil baiti. So we have mubtada and khabar, and we have this sequence any of the subject and the predicate. The subject and it must come first, and then the predicate. The letters al abu, alif and it must come first, follows by lam, follows by ba. This is what he meant. So when we speak any about the creations, the makhluk and the speech any of the creations, and it has sequence any in terms any of letters, sequence any in terms any of words, sequence any in terms any of sentence structure. Without any the sequence any, it is not a sentence. There must any be sequence. So this is the nature of the speeches and words any of the creation. So the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like that. So we say kalam of Allah laysat biharfin wala saut. So it has no sequence any of the normal any letters any and sounds. So وفي هذا رد على الحنابلة والكرامية القائلين بأن كلامه تعالى عرض من جنس الأصوات والحروف ومع ذلك فهو قديم. So Al-Imam At-Taftazani, and he mentioned some Hanabila, yani of course, and some Hanabila is what we mentioned, the Mujassima, they and the Karamiyah, they believe that the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an accident, meaning it is not a pre-eternal attribute, it is a contingent attribute that subsists in the entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Min jinsil aswati wal huruf, and it is made up of letters and sounds. And then some of them mentioned wa ma'adhalika fahuwa qadim. So all these are contradictories that are believed by some Hanabila and the Karamiyah. So Hanabila here we have to understand not all Hanbali mazhab, not all the Hanbali scholars, but some of the Hanbali scholars. It is important for us to take note, because the Hanbalis and the scholars of Hanbalis, they are Asha'ira, most of them. But some of them are Mujassima. And one of the things of the Mujassima, when they speak about kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they mention the kalam of Allah is harfin wa saut. That the words, the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comprises of letters and sounds, but yet they are pre-eternal. So this is a contradiction. How can the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comprises of letters and sounds, but at the same time it is qadim when letters and sounds have sequences? So if you have any sequences, it cannot be pre-eternal because it comes one after the other. Despite that, they believe in all this contradictories. But the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, we mentioned kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not letters and sounds. Wallahu alam bis-sawab. Inshallah, we will stop here, and next week we will continue from here. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.